Hello and welcome to the next episode of Diaries of Badass Bosses podcast. Thanks for joining me. We are available on all of the major podcast platforms. So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and on YouTube if you want to take a little squeaky look at what we're doing. Why squeaky? I have no idea why I just said squeaky, but I did. We're also available on social media as well. So Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And very exciting, we also now have a website. So you can also find us at diariesofbadassbosses.com. So I'd love to hear from you. Please send me any comments, feedback, maybe tell me what episodes you'd love to hear, like what topics you'd like me to cover or anyone particularly you'd like me to interview. We'd love to hear from you. So please, and thank you for tuning in. So today I want to talk about sales. It's fundamental to every business, no matter what we do, what we sell, whether you're service or product. I want to guide you today in basically creating a really stellar sales pitch. I'm going to cover off all aspects of pitching because every client and customer is different. So we're going to go through things like whether you're meeting them in person, pitching to them directly, or whether actually you're just able to kind of just pitch them online and how you create that perfect deck to kind of make that impression and some of the tips that I've learned over the years. So for me, pitching has been, it's crazy actually. It's been the biggest part of my work, if anything, actually, especially when I got into more of the kind of agency director level. It probably took up about, I'm going to say about 70% of my time was pitching. So there is an art form to it, but, it's something that I know a lot of people are a little bit afraid of or feel nervous about. But, it does have to form part of what you do to be able to build your business. So what I want to try and do is give you a few tools, a few tips of like how you can make it easy and hopefully not make it be that fear factor for you. So the first thing is when you have a potential new client, wherever they've come from, whether they come through social media, your website, you've met them in person, realistically, the first thing you really need to do is have an actual discovery call. Have a call with them and speak to them because you're only really going to get to understand them. You can never do it fully online. You can never do it just over email. You need to understand that individual because when you're writing this pitch, you're writing directly to them. You're speaking to them and you want to understand them. So that, even if it's 15 minutes, you will be able to get to grips of like what you want to know about their business, what it is they're looking for, what are their pain points. Yeah. So find out what those pain points are and how is it you're going to answer those pain points for them. Have they ever used this type of service that you're offering or product you're offering before? Have they had any bad experiences, good experiences? Why is it they're looking for you? Ask all of those questions. Find out really why they need you. And then when you come to write that deck, that pitch deck, you can answer all of those and you kind of keep it as a thread throughout the deck that you put together for them. So you've had your call. You understand them. You get to understand what they're after and why it is that they need you. Okay. You now need to put together a presentation for them. Okay. One of the things I find a lot of people do is when they write a pitch presentation, they do it a lot about themselves. And yes, you are selling yourself, but ultimately they want to be able to see their business through your eyes. So the one thing I always say is when you create a template for your presentation, and you can do this in different formats. So you can use Word, you can use PowerPoint, You can use Canva, whatever that format, that template that you want to create. A lot of people always use their own branding. And actually, for the client, it kind of puts them off a little bit. They actually want to see their branding. They want to see how you see them. You talk about yourself in that deck, but I would always recommend, if you're pitching to another business, make them that lead focus, make them a part. So you can create a template that you can then just drop in their branding and their color. So that's the template that you're going to work to. The first thing is to be able to kind of set the scene. Okay, so kind of make reference to the conversations you've had, or if they've sent you a brief on email, like what is that brief? So you're kind of acknowledging it. Don't repeat their brief back to them because they know their brief. And again, this is one of the things that people do, and you think you're doing the right thing, but they kind of will look at it and go, well, no, I know what my brief is. You don't need to say it. You need to be responding to that. So in your introduction, it's very much about, look, I understand that this is your issue, or these are your pain points, or this is why you need me. And this is what I'm going to answer in this presentation for you today. And then you genuinely want to go into what their challenges are, and these can be bullet pointed, but it's going to be very much about, what their challenges are in their current industry, who they're competing against. What is it that they've said their pain points are? How is it that they're just needing to stand out in whatever capacity? And then you start to go into research. And again, straight away up front, they start to feel, before they even get into the nitty gritty of what you offer on your service, you've done your research, you understand them, and you're talking to them. Ultimately, they're going to be paying this bill. So if you go into a pitch with, hey, this is me, yeah, this is what I do, and I can do all of this for you, they kind of go, oh, okay, that's great, but where am I in this? So that's why it's always really important that the client who you're pitching to takes forefront precedence in that upfront pitch deck. Go into what it is, the research that you found, understanding, oh, I've seen that you've got some social media channels, or actually I've seen that you don't do social. But this is something that we're going to touch upon so that we can kind of help you elevate your business. Maybe it's their website, we're looking at what you've got versus your competitors. So that research is really fundamental. And then also looking at the industry for them as a whole. What is it that's happening in that client's industry right now that means that they need to focus on a particular area or stand out in a certain way? So all of that research, again, goes a really long way. But then that does obviously form what you're proposing to them, what you're going to suggest that they need to be doing. Why is it that maybe they need your product or your service to be able to promote themselves? So the next thing is you go into ideas and creativity and, or this is where I see my product, being positioned for you, or how it's going to help benefit you. Give examples, give, price points, that type of thing. So you're really getting into the nitty gritty of what it is that you're about. And this is then your opportunity to shout about you, shout about your services, and shout about your products. And again, how you work together. So every type of language that you use in this pitch deck should all be about you working together and understanding each other and being an extension of their business. So appreciate the language that you want to use in this deck, because if it's something that you're delivering without being able to present it, that they're literally just going to look at it online, without you there, they need to be able to get an understanding of your personality in this. So do feel free to kind of make it your own in the style of the way that you write to them, so that they feel like they can connect with you. My ideal scenario will always be that I pitch in person, or at least over Zoom because, and also the other trick, I would never send a pitch deck ahead of presenting because they're always going to second guess it. So if you're presenting it, again, I don't even give them one to look at. I will give it after the fact. So once I've presented, then I give them the deck to then, go through. Because otherwise they're jumping ahead before you've even done some of the wow moments that I like to kind of talk about. So, for me, when I'm pitching my services, I want to get to that wow moment of like, oh my God, yes, I need you. And if they're jumping ahead, looking at that deck and reading, they're not looking at you, they're not tuning in. So again, don't give them a deck until afterwards. But yeah, if you're promoting those services, add a bit of theatre to it as well. Don't be afraid to use props. Don't be afraid to offer products or, some way of case studies or anecdotal information. So if, again, you're not able to deliver it in person, you're sending the deck online, maybe send them some samples, maybe send them some case studies alongside the deck that they can look at, some video work. So if I was talking to Connor, I know the one thing he would say if he's pitching, he's going to send people examples of his work so that they can really understand his skill. For me, I would send case studies of like, these are the different types of PR campaigns I've worked on. This is the type of, branding that I've helped somebody create, get them to really understand it. And as I say, if it's products, then yeah, send them some samples. And then when it's the back end of it, of that deck, that you really go into you and like, why is it that you should consider me? And make it real, make it authentic, make it personal. Be honest with them that, yeah, okay, maybe I'm a one-man band, but this is why. And I care so much and it's my own business and I've spent this many years setting it up. And then give them some testimonials, give them those, 5-star reviews that they can kind of go, oh, okay, this is what everyone else thinks. It just backs up everything that you're stating. Give them your experience, maybe some of the clients you've worked with. Again, imagery is everything. So in that design, make sure that you're using imagery as much as possible. If you don't have much imagery, if you are starting out, stock photos are great. There's a lot of free websites that you can use, like Pexels. I use a lot, and just until you build up that bank of examples and a library of imagery, get some stuff in there, and also get, photos of yourself as well. Add links as well to anything that might be relevant. So whether it is your website, your social media, some testimonials, somebody else talking about you, that type of thing. But ultimately, sign it off then with, if you're not obviously delivering it in person, say you'd love a call to be able to go through and answer any questions. And then if you are presenting, then that is the time, like, answer those questions, let them get that ability to kind of dig deep and understand you and how you can, present to them. Don't be afraid of curveballs. Try and prepare yourself as much as possible. So again, if you've done your research on the business and you understand their pain points and where things have gone wrong, like, probably some of the things they're going to ask you. But anecdotes are worth their weight in gold. So if you can be able to say, yes, when I worked with this one client that I did X with, or actually when I started off, it was really tricky, but we managed to turn it round. Whatever they are, have those anecdotes like you do for a job interview. It's exactly the same with sales pitch. But what I want you to do is I want you to go in there and be your true, authentic self. It's your business, it's your baby, and you're proud of it. So don't be afraid to go in and sell yourself, but just put that potential client at the heart of what you're doing, and you can't go wrong. And ultimately, the other thing is the ratio of the amount that you pitch is about 70% of, a lot of pitches will be cold. They won't necessarily go anywhere. And that's because they're not a strong enough lead anyway, because they're literally just probably, a splattergun effect of just going out to a whole load of suppliers, just to get a response. So please don't be disheartened by that. You genuinely know when someone actually really wants to kind of find you, especially if it's come from a recommendation. You start to feel like it's much more than just a warm lead. This is probably a little bit more hot. So you know that I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this because I feel like there's more in it. And also surround yourself by talent. I don't think I've ever done a pitch where I've not spoken about the other talent and skilled people that I work with. So again, whether you're a service or product-based industry, you do use other businesses, whether it's packaging, whether it's photographers, whether it's videographers, whatever it is, go in and promote them too. Promote the fact that you work alongside some amazing talent that can answer all of your solutions. So you could go in with one particular brief and end up coming out with 3 others because you've been open. You've said, I offer X, Y, and Z, and I work with these different people as well. So again, don't be afraid to do a little bit of upsell at the end of that pitch. But look, do you know what? Sales is hard. But if you own it, you're passionate about what you do, and you know what you do, then go in, be bold, be brave, and be confident. And trust me, they'll see that. And you will get the clients you deserve because they will see you as the genuine person that you are, and they're who you want to work with. I am so fortunate. I honestly have the most wonderful client base. I'm super proud of it because I love working with them every day. And I think it's just because, I like good relationships with people. So for me, getting that right client is also important for you too. So if you don't see that there's a fit, that's also okay. You may actually go into that pitch and come out going, actually, maybe I can't answer their problems, or maybe it doesn't work. The dynamic doesn't work, or what they're asking of me doesn't work. And that's okay as well. So don't forget that when you're pitching, it's your decision too. It's a two-way street. But yeah, I hope that that's been insightful and useful. I'd really love to hear your feedback. And if you've got any questions off the back of that, I'll happily, because as I say, sales is massive. It's obviously a fundamental part of what we do as a business owner. So, I'm happy to kind of maybe separate out a different episode and focus on particular areas. But I thought just the initial pitch and putting together a good deck would be a good starting point. So yeah, love your feedback. Drop in on our comments on any of our podcast platforms or on our social media. And yeah, if you'd like more suggestions on things that you'd like me to cover, by all means, please do. I will be back again next Wednesday, 7 a.m, dropping into your ears with another episode of Diaries of Badass Bosses. We've got some exceptional clients lined up next month that I'm super duper excited about. Again, really broad spectrum of clients. So we're going from finance through to dating, through to life coaching and TV presenting and event management. So trust me, it is all to come. But thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate all my wonderful, loyal listeners and watchers. And Connor and I will see you again next week.